All right, so here we have lesson 0.2a. The first two lessons were all about calculating slope, and now we're going to kind of put that into practice. So our learning target today is I can write slope-intercept form of a line. So we're writing an equation of a line today, but we're going to start by just reviewing slope. So I'd like you to calculate the slope of these two sets of points. Go ahead and hit pause on the video while you're working on that, and then when you're ready to see the answer, you can hit play again. All right, so the answer to number one was negative 11 over 17. And the answer to number two was undefined because it ended up with a 0 in the denominator. Now remember that if the negative sign is on the top, it's the same as if it's on the bottom. So if you had 11 over negative 17, that is also correct, okay? And if you ended up with a negative 13 over 0, that is also correct. So just kind of keep those in mind. You should hopefully try to start getting used to those equivalencies there. All right, so let's start today's notes. These are our 0.2a notes. And for these, we are writing the equation of a line. All right, so there's a few different ways to write an equation of a line, but today we are working on slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals, and I like to color code these notes because we're going to have numbers that mean different things. M x plus b. Okay, so in slope-intercept form, the b represents the y-intercept, and the m represents the slope. You've probably heard y equals mx plus b before. All right, so we're going to go ahead and try this. Now, I'm doing this on graph paper. You do not have to use graph paper. Just try to do it as neatly as you can in your regular lined paper. But let's go ahead and start example 1. And the way we're going to do these examples is we're going to make a graph, and then we're going to figure out what the equation of the line is. So I will do my best to help you draw your graph correctly. We're going to start with a coordinate plane at x and a y axis. And then we're going to start plotting some points. So for this line, we are going to have our first coordinate here at -1. And then our second coordinate is going to be at -1, -4. So we're going to go left 1, down 4. And then our third point is going to be at 1, 2. So right 1, up 2. Go ahead and draw my line. Okay. So we have to come up with the equation of this line. Now, if I look at this formula up here, the slope-intercept form, there's two different numbers I have to figure out. I have to figure out what the slope is, and I have to figure out what the y-intercept is. Now, we've been working on slope, so I expect most of you can probably figure out the slope of this line. I am going to talk you through it. The y-intercept is a new thing for today, so we will also talk about that. So first I'm going to figure out the slope. So I have 3 different points here. You can pick any 2 points you want. I could pick these two, or these two, but I would recommend against picking these two because if you do those ones, you'll get a correct slope, but you'll have to reduce it. You can avoid reducing if you pick 2 that are right next to each other. So either these or these will work. So it looks like I can go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So that is what I'm going to do. My slope is rise 3, run 1. So my slope is 3 over 1. But that can reduce to just 3. Next, we're going to figure out our y-intercept. So this is specifically called a y-intercept because it's talking about the y-axis. The y-axis is the vertical one that goes up and down. And we're wondering where this graph crosses through the y-axis. So the graph of this line crosses my y-axis right here, and that's at -1. So my y-intercept is at -1. So what I do now is I plug those two numbers into this equation. So every slope-intercept equation starts with y equals, and then we write down the number for the slope. So this slope is 3, and then we put x, and then we write down the y-intercept, and this y-intercept is -1. If it was a positive number, I would put +1. And that is my answer, 3x minus 1. Okay, let's go ahead and try number 2. So example 2, we'll draw this line also. So our first coordinate is going to be at up 1 on the y-axis. Then we have another one that is left 3, up 3. And we have a third coordinate that is right 3, down 1. Go ahead and connect those dots to graph my line. Oops. Try that again. There we go. Okay. So we're going to write the equation of this line. So my first job is to figure out what the slope is. Now I'm going to give you a couple of shortcuts here. So we don't have to write the word slope out. A shortcut is we can just put m equals, because m always represents slope, just like it does right here in the equation. So my slope, again, I want to pick 2 points that are next to each other. It doesn't matter if I pick those two or those two. The answer will be the same. I'll start here. So it looks like we go down to right 3 to move from this point to this point. So because I had to move down 2, that's a -2, but then I went right 3, so that's a +3. Now I'm going to look for my y-intercept. So the graph crosses the y-axis right here at 1. Oh, I should have circled that up here. We'll circle that one too. So my y-intercept is b, and b is equal to 1 on this graph. So now I can go ahead and write the equation. So y is equal to my slope, which is -2/3 x, and then I put my y-intercept. Now this one's a positive one, so I'm going to put +1. There we go. All right, so those are kind of typical lines. Now we're going to do 2 more examples for special cases. So example 3 is going to be a 0 slope line. And example 4 is going to be an undefined slope line. Okay, so let's look at the 0 slope line first. So remember, 0 slope lines are flat. So we are going to go up 2 spaces onto the y-axis, and we're going to just draw our line horizontally through that point. So remember, it's 0 slope because there's no rise, but there is a run. So like the top of this fraction would be 0, but the bottom would have a number. Also, this line only goes through the y-axis. It never touches the x-axis at all. And so the way we're going to describe this line is by saying where it goes through the y-axis. And this one goes through our y-axis at 2. And so the equation of this line is just y equals 2. And that's all we have to say. We don't have to put an x because there's no slope. We just need to describe where it crosses the y-axis. So the similar situation is going to happen with an undefined slope. So for an undefined slope, those are those lines that are straight up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and draw one over here. Let's do it like 3 spaces over. And notice that this one only passes through the x-axis. And it crosses my x-axis right here at -3. It never touches the y-axis. It's never going to tilt over so that it eventually reaches that. It just is always going to be perfectly vertical. So this one, we just need to describe this line by saying where it goes through the x-axis. This one passes through my x-axis at -3. So that is the equation of this line. All right. So that is the end of 0.2a. Please let me know in class if I can answer any more questions for you.